Oh, good. I get to watch another ad to the very live stream that I'm running. It's nice, but at least it's about New Zealand and I live in New Zealand. Okay, alright, so I'm just making sure everything is working fine, doing my sound check, giving people time to jump into the room. This is supposed to be a fairly short live stream and really sort of to get people past all the problems they might need to get past. Although I'm doing a series on this particular topic, I'm probably not going to do everything fast enough and in the time frame that people want. So I realized that I probably needed to do sort of like a questions and answer session. So that's what today is all about. And I've got a whole lot of panels. I can pull up the maps. We can discuss things in a bit of detail if you want. I also do really need to know if the live stream is bottoming out on me and there's technical problems. If you let me know in the chat, then that's going to really help. How's it going, Nicholas? How are you doing our roll for damage? Not too much. So yeah, if you're not familiar with my live streams, this live stream is interactive. I will respond to you in the chat. Okay, that's what it's all about. I don't have a specific topic for today. If you're re-watching this video and you want to sort of get past all the rambling and bumbling that I'm doing at the very front of this video, I should have said that at the very beginning, right? Look down in the description and you'll find down in the description there is a start time there. If I get cut off for any reason whatsoever during this live stream, I'm not going to restart it. The linemen in my area are updating the phone lines, but in particular the internet lines, so that I have fibre in my area. And that means that technical difficulties are likely to happen. I do apologise. Hopefully sometime in September, if they're actually staying on track, which I don't believe they will, but if they do, then it'll all work out fine. Today is, I'm going to explain a lot, but basically start throwing out your questions and we will discuss things. Okay, let us get started. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, but in particular we're going to talk about the Lost Mine of Phandelver, and this is supposed to be a questions and answer session. It is also supposed to be an opportunity for you to tell me what sort of content you would like in the Lost Mine of Phandelver series that I'm going to do. That series I've already started. I've already done 2 videos on the topic, and I plan to do more videos on the topic, but it's really helpful to me if you actually tell me specifically the stuff you would like me to focus on. But that's beside the point. I will answer as many specific questions as I possibly can today, provided I have the answers. I don't have the answers to everything, but I certainly will try my best to answer your questions and push things in the right direction if we need to. Okay. Alright, so let's open it up and see where we're at. There's a couple of people in the room, and I'm going to just quickly tell you what I had in mind in terms of the series that I'll run, but if you have any questions, this is a good opportunity to ask those questions and just see how things go. I may not pull up the camera of my face, because what I've discovered with the camera of my face is that's more data. And if I chew up more data, then I suspect my internet might crash. I don't want that happening. So the things that I plan to talk about, but if you guys want to see my face, that's fine. I'm just a little bit worried that it will crash. So what I had planned was the next video after this will be how to prepare for running Lost Mine of Phandelver. Now the great thing about the Lost Mine of Phandelver is this particular adventure is very short. It's actually it's not even 60 pages. You know, when you look at it all, that's including stat blocks, magic items. You know, it's actually designed very much in the nature of an old style Dungeons and Dragons adventure. I would say it's only fractionally longer than some of the very first adventures that were released. And the reason that that's such a good thing is it makes it really easy as a new dungeon master to run. On top of that, somebody asked me, why is the Lost Mine of Phandelver such a good adventure to run? Well, one, there are some faults to it, but we will address those. There's some errata that you might need to check, particularly if you've picked up the original box and first printing. I believe that they did doubt, you know, they have printed the starter box many times, so the errata has been updated. So you will find that if you're buying something now, you shouldn't be getting anything with any errors. But if you've picked up an older version at the very start of the publication, then you'll find there might be a few errors within the adventure book itself. But the reason it's so good is when it's short, it's broken up into easily manageable sections, and each section is only a few paragraphs. And because it's only a few paragraphs, even if you don't remember everything, and it's wise to read through the entire thing, and I know some people would say, read through it at least twice, but I don't know that that's actually necessary with this adventure. I think you can read through once, get a basic idea of what's going on, and then from there, you just, if you forget stuff, which you will, then you can just look at that section, and it's broken up nice and easily. It's very easy to figure out, how many monsters are there, and the general layout of the location. The maps are really helpful. There are some locations that don't have maps, and so you're sort of left to your own devices to come up with that information. So preparing for the Lost Mine of Phandelver was going to be the first video, and then I was going to follow up with something in the line of dealing with the very beginning. So I was actually thinking in terms of, I've already done who is Gundren Rockseeker, because there's not an awful lot of information in one place on him, but I was thinking we need to make sure that the players actually are friends with Gundren and they have a connection, and they are they believe that it's important to save Gundren. Otherwise, they might just go off and do their own thing, because it's a very sandboxy adventure. You can go to different locations if you want. You don't have to necessarily just follow it a particular way. So I thought focusing on why you should link in and how you link in all of the player characters, not just the cleric dwarf who's related to Gundren Rockseeker from the pre-made character sheets, making sure all of those characters are linked in, which is why I did a video on character relationships yesterday. What's that, roll for damage? Are you going to be doing the series by encounter like the Road to Phandelver, or cover as much as you can in a period of time? No, I'm going to break it up. Now, the very first Lost Mine of Phandelver DM guide I did was an hour and a half, and it's way too long, and I realized that was just a huge mistake. So I'm going to break it up into parts. But what I need you guys to do is that, if you feel that breaking it up into parts is more useful to you, so that you don't have to watch a whole lot of stuff that's unrelated to what you need to know, I think that's probably the best way to do it. The only hassle of doing it that way is that if I do it that way, you're going to find it takes me a long time to do all the videos. I've still got to do all the preparation, make sure I've got my facts right. And I ran this twice now, but it's been a long time, so I still need to sort of refresh myself. So that was the plan, if that answers your question, roll for damage. So I would do, definitely on the road, traveling by all means, absolutely. And we can pull, actually I can pull up that map right now, just for the sake of it, to give us something to look at other than the likes of that screen, and a bit of a change of pace. So yeah, I was planning to pull up, show the, do that, I think it's the Black Arrow. That's the very first encounter where the player's characters are going to get ambushed. And I would just run through that particular encounter, because it always seems to be, the goblin ambush is always something that always causes probably the most trouble, because it's the very first time that they start playing the game. It's the very first encounter, and of course everybody assumes that goblins are a piece of cake to take down, but actually they're very dangerous. In that location, the way it's set up, they could potentially wind up getting completely wiped out. So it does make an awful lot of sense to focus on just that for one session. And then I would do another video that would just cover something like Craigmore Castle. Roll for damage, what's that? Yeah, I screwed that aspect up when I ran it, even though we were using the pre-gen characters. Didn't have enough emphasis on the relationships between the players' characters and Gundren. Because what you wind up happening is the dwarf cleric, who, if you use a pre-made character sheet, has a relationship with Gundren, they've got a vested interest in going and making sure to rescue Gundren. But the others are just told that they're friends with Gundren. But the problem is, if you don't have a reason why you're friends with Gundren, then when Gundren goes missing, what is the tie other than, well, I missed out on what? I'm not actually going to miss out on my 10 gold pieces if I deliver the supply wagon to, Barton's Provisions anyway. of Barthen's provisions. So why would I worry about it? You know, let's go and do something else. I've got a big, huge sandbox. I can go anywhere I like. Gundren's really not a huge issue for me. So, you know, I'll go and do something else. And while that's happening, fantastic. But yeah, I think breaking it up into smaller videos is probably the most sensible thing. And yes, definitely going to cover Craigmore Hideout, because that can be a little bit tricky too. Your level 1 and course players, characters are really fragile at low levels, and if you're not careful, you'll wind up taking everybody out, or at least a portion of the party. What's that, Campbell? How's it going, Campbell? Hi, I'm a new DM trying to run Lost Mine of Phandelver with my two kids. Oh, cool! I'm so glad you're running it with your kids. So you're learning to DM and playing 2 PCs and helping my kids play their PCs all at the same time. Phew. Okay, Campbell, I understand where you're coming from here. That is a lot of work to do. I did a video which is not often viewed very often because it's got just my face and I'm sitting in a car when I did it. I did it while I was sitting in a car. And it's about how to deal with really small groups of adventurers. And your kids probably would love the idea of having an animal companion. And what I'm going to suggest is, see, what you do is with an animal companion, you have eliminated all of the complexity of having things like personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws, and you just suddenly given them a mechanical thing to run. And the thing about an animal companion is they're actually pretty simple to run. They're not actually complicated. And as long as you scale up that animal companion that they're using and playing with, trust me, they're going to love having an animal companion. Even if they're starting out playing, let them run a character and have an animal companion. That is probably the smartest way to deal with it. And if one of them decides not to use a class who is a healer of some kind, then just make sure you keep leaving lots of potions of healing in the treasure that they are picking up, you know. Or, you know, you can change the way that your short rest works, things like that. There's the video is called How to Run Small D&D Groups, and it would give you a lot better understanding about how to deal with that. Does that answer your question, Campbell? I think that's what your point was. You let me know if it isn't, and I will certainly try to correct my line of thought. Okay. You like that, Campbell? Excellent. I'm glad you like that. We'll look at that other video. Thanks. We're using the pre-mades. Yeah, the pre-mades are really good. Playing the rogue and a sorcerer. Oh, you mean the wizard or the sorcerer? You're playing the tank and the healer. So yeah, you can eliminate your tank and healer by just giving them so they can give them more healing potions in their treasure, or to let somebody give them, hand them out as a reward, and give them those animal companions, and they can be the tank. That way, make life a lot easier. Struggling with keeping the flow of the game. Yeah, no, you don't have to be sorry. That's all right. No problems. So yeah, we'll discuss that part of the adventure, and obviously the Craigmore goblins play a huge part in this adventure, and as a result of that, I suppose we need to have at least a video that sort of discusses that a little bit. Not a huge one. One of the biggest issues that I think people keep popping up with is Fandom. Now, once you get to Fandom, they all freak out, and as a result of seeing something like Fandom, there's so many different adventure hooks that they could go and use, and there's so many different player characters. So what do? Do I introduce everybody? Actually, it's probably not a wise thing to do. As soon as they get to Fandom, all you need to do is Barthen's Provisions is the first place you really want them to deal with. They might decide they want to go to the tavern, so they can collect their 10 gold from Barthen's Provisions and drop off the wagon load of stuff. They can go to the tavern and pick up a few rumours, but I wouldn't get too carried away. I'd just give them 1 or 2. 1 is probably enough. And they might decide to go to the town master's hall to report illegal activities or goblin activity, or if they haven't actually gone and rescued Gundren Rockseeker, they might want to report to the Phandelver first and let the town master know. So I want to talk about Phandelver a lot more as its own video, and that would probably be quite long in its own right because it's such a huge location. Okay, what's that? Shorthand techniques. You can use them reading through the adventures. Yep, it's absolutely. More live stream. I'm going to try to live stream unless you guys tell me. If I keep breaking up and it keeps falling apart on me, then I'll try not to do the live stream. What I will try to do is I will try to have a questions and answers for Lost Mine of Phandelver every once in a while, maybe once a month or once every 2 months, depending on demand, so that we can go back and just answer questions about stuff that people might not have got from the videos that I've done so far, just to keep up with that. Okay, what's that, Campbell? Okay, someone on Reddit just pointed out roll the dice as a DM for show, but don't make it too hard for them. They can keep enjoying it. Okay, so when it comes to rolling your dice, whether you roll your dice in front of your players for the attack rolls or you roll it behind your screen is completely up to you. My Dungeon Master screen is really not there to hide the dice rolls. It's actually to stop the players from reading my adventure, because I've had players do that, or to check out the monster stat blocks if they haven't memorized them already. It's not to hide the dice rolls. I'm never really worried about that. And actually the DM screen's got a lot of really useful information on it, which is why I use one, so that I don't have to reference everything all the time, and I don't have to go back to it and check things constantly. So that's why I use my Dungeon Master screen. As for rolling for damage, you'll notice with the monster stat blocks that there is usually, when it comes to rolling for damage, there's a section that shows you what dice to roll and what modifiers to add to your damage. But then there's also another number beside it, and it's usually the average damage. Okay, so it says hit, and then it gives you the average outside of brackets. I would use the average damage in your adventure, and that flatten the maths right out, so that you don't wind up rolling maximum damage on your dice and having your players go down, particularly at low level. As they get higher in level, it certainly doesn't matter quite so much about rolling the dice or not, but at low level I would use the flat maths as much as you possibly can. Oh my gosh, thank you, Hale. Oh, hate. Oh my gosh, wow. that is awesome. Buy more minis, bro. Okay, I will buy more minis. I'm actually thinking I have to buy more dice, because I realized I only have one set of dice that I gave to my my partner. And they're very nice looking dice, but it's only one set, and it's not really helpful if you're doing videos revolving around rolling dice. So not super helpful, but okay. So yeah, flatten the maths, and then later on when they get to about level 3, 4, you can start rolling those damage dice, and it won't make any difference whatsoever to the outcome of your game. It should be fine. Nicholas, thank you. Yes, good points. All right, awesome. I appreciate it. Jeff, what do you got here? Hi everyone, I'm new to DMing too. This is going to be my first session as well. Oh my gosh, well, this is your opportunity, Jeff, to ask whatever questions you need to. I don't plan to do questions and answers indefinitely. My gosh, hey, I can't believe you gave me like $5. That's a huge, do you realise how much that is in New Zealand money? It's quite a lot. Yes, absolutely, he's in the right place. Okay, so Jeff, what have we got here? I'm basically making notes from the module book so that I can move quickly and not have to scan the book during the sessions. Okay, so how do you make your notes? That seems to be what you're doing. I tend to use those post-its, the little post-its, not necessarily the really big post-its because they can get in the way, and you can flip them up back and forth. That's the easiest way, and I find one of the things that really helpful to me is grab the back of the book, photocopy all of the monster stat blocks, particularly if they're on one page. The ones that aren't on one page are a pain, and you're probably better to just go with the monster manual and photocopy them there and then you just cut it out, that stat block for the monster, and you can leave it on a piece of paper, and you can pin that. Oh my gosh, Hate, you're doing it again. I will buy more dice. Yes, thank you, Hate. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. You're awesome. You're all awesome. But okay, so take that stat block, cut it out, and if you feel it needs to be on a piece of card, then by all means put it on a piece of cardboard. I know people talk about index cards and writing them onto an index card. Do you know how long it's going to take you to write it onto an index card? Oh my gosh, what a pain in the butt. I wouldn't even consider doing that. You know, don't do that to yourself. It's not worth it. Find something else to do with your time. And sure, you've got plenty of other things to deal with and you don't need to deal with that. So I wouldn't do that. Absolutely not. Okay? All right. Oh my God. Rob, are you, oh my, good Lord. That's $100. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Thank you, Rob. You're awesome. I know you keep up with me quite a lot. I really wanted to do this. I was hoping it would work out, and so far we're holding together into 21 minutes, which is a surprise to me. Okay, all right, so let's make sure. Now, Jeff, has that answered your question with regard to taking notes? You know, sticking your notes on a post-it on the page in the book is really useful. Grabbing the stat blocks so they're nice, because you can actually just get a ball clip or a paper clip. I think a ball clip is better, and clip them onto your DM screen if you've got a DM screen, and that'll hold it in place so that you can easily reference the stat block when you need to. I think that's one of the smartest ways to actually run it. Campbell, you're in New Zealand. I'm in Auckland, bro. How's it going, Campbell? Yeah. I'm in Helensville, which is about, as you know, about an hour away. If you're in rush hour, no, not rush hour traffic, would probably be a bit longer now. Okay. Dear. All right, Hate. I've been meaning to since the car. You've been meaning to. Man, you're awesome. I really do appreciate Hate and Rob. You're awesome. Rob, Shell, just fantastic. I'm glad. Okay, so Jeff. I'm a web developer, so I'm creating a mini website for myself so I can hyperlink around quickly. Oh, okay, that's actually a very smart idea. Jeff, if that hyperlink website is sort of working well for you, would you consider sharing that with the rest of the community? I mean, obviously, you know, if you feel you need to make some money off it as well and run ads on the website, then by all means. But I want you to let me know when it's ready to go, and I will do a video on the topic and let people know about it, okay? Okay, yeah, roll for damage, you're right, Rob is awesome. Absolutely, both Hate and Rob, just fantastic. Okay, George, when running this module, why do you suppose the doppelgangers are teamed up with the other villains? So the doppelgangers are really there as... Look, I think a lot of people actually sort of talked about the doppelgangers. They are sort of like the hired guns, okay? They are not the mastermind. They are the hired muscle. They are good at being infiltrators and quite devious. So that's why they are essentially there. So our relationship with the Drow, the Black Spider, who's the main villain, and doppelgangers actually makes quite a lot of sense. If I'm wrong, you let me know, but it sounds like I maybe need to focus on doing a video on doppelgangers. Getting back to what I plan to do, I will also do one video talking about the Red Brand hideout and the Red Brands in general. I think that is probably one of the most useful aspects of the whole Fandom location, is it gives you sort of like a Western feel or adventure feel to it. Okay? Right, moving my way down here. George, you let me know if that was an insufficient answer, and I will make a note that I need to actually discuss why the doppelgangers are teaming up with the main villain, okay, which is the Nesna, the Black Spider. Jeff. Alright, okay, you let me know about that, Jeff. Aaron, glad I caught the stream. Yeah, well, provided it holds together. Like yesterday, it just fell apart completely. didn't it? It was a bit of a mess. I do apologise. I had a whole lot of issues with trying to make it all work properly. It's a local site run on my machine, but okay, it's not pretty at all. Laugh out loud. Look, it's up to you, Jeff. No pressure whatsoever. It's completely up to you. I don't think that I need to make a bigger issue about it or anything like that. But you let me know if you feel differently about that at any time. Okay, so getting back to what else needs to be covered, I was looking at Agatha's lair, the Banshee. I think what I will do is I will do just a very short video on dealing with Agatha, because the problem with Agatha is people get a little bit confused about what they're supposed to do with the Banshee. It's such a small section, it doesn't provide you with a map, and that's quite deliberate. It's to ensure that the players don't think that it's some sort of combat. If they think it's some sort of combat, then all hell will break loose, because Banshees can take down high-level characters. Certainly if you adjust the modifier, but at low level you can wind up taking down a portion of the group, and yeah, it's nasty, which is why it's supposed to be a role play. What's that, Jeff? When I wanted to run by you, I plan on using Roll20 as an online battle map. Yep, I'm hoping I can even do the map you have up now on the Red Brand Hideout and use 504. I don't know a lot about, I don't really know a lot about those online tools, but I can guarantee you can probably find all of the maps that I'm showing you for free on the internet. But if you're looking for high resolution maps, I believe that the original developer of those maps actually has his maps up and available for you to use. But there is a cost involved if you want to use his maps, and I think it's Mike Shelley. Mike Shelley? If I'm wrong, let me know. I will try to put a link down in the description to it so you can check it out if you want. Okay? Hopefully that will help. Fred, honestly, I think you could make an entire YouTube channel about Phandelver. Look, not going to happen. I do realise that it's a high demand topic, and not a lot of people actually talk about Phandelver. They certainly show people them running the game, which is always useful, right? But yeah, I've watched hours and hours of streams about Phandelver, and they never as insightful. Oh, it's not as insightful. Well, I'm glad it's not as insightful. There's a demand for it to happen, so I'll keep doing it, right? Using a Banshee on my group in my last live stream, took down 3/5 of the party. Two were out of range, so the others were all in range. So yeah, that's exactly the issue, Aaron. When it comes to Banshees, they are very powerful. Of course, if they succeed, then on their check with the Banshee, then it's a different story. You know, but she is powerful, which is why you're not supposed to turn it into a combat encounter, and why you'll notice that you do not get provided with a stat block for the Banshee. And that would be just asking for trouble. Okay, Quoteless. What do you got here, Quoteless? How do you encourage PC relationships between one another as to create plot hooks? You briefly touched on that earlier. Okay, alright, so a brief example. Alright, so I did actually a video yesterday which got cut off, which talks about character relationships. And the first thing you want to do is have a session 0 where you build characters together and get the players all in the same place, so they're not building a lone wolf. We don't want any Chuck Norrises in the group, okay? And we certainly don't want any Arnold Schwarzenegger-like characters either. That's not going to work. What you want to do is make sure they have some sort of connection. And making those connections between the characters is the first start. And I don't want to go into a lot of detail. I feel like that video will tell you a lot more. But I find that having members in the group that are family members, or maybe even cousins, you can have them slightly removed. They don't have to be mother, father, brother, sister. Something like that can help a lot. Belonging to a faction so that they have the same motivations and goals. You can also use other forms of links that will help tie them in, and each of the pre-made character sheets that are provided in the adventure have a hook into aspects of the adventure, which each player will want to pursue at some time, which makes it so important. The only hassle is once they have completed that particular goal for their character, they've got nothing left. That's what I found in my own adventure when I was running it, is that once you've done that, the players loved it, but once you've done it, they were like, well, what's my next one? They wanted their own personal goal, and I said, no, well, no. Now the personal goal is not your personal goal. It's to find out who the black spider is, if they know the black spider even exists. Or no, your goal is you're supposed to be trying to help Gundren, get him back, and help his brothers with their mine. That's the concept, you know, trying to pull them all together. But there's a good way of doing that, and as I said, making them related to Gundren. If they've got dwarves in the party, then do it. You know, that's the first step. I think somebody was asking me the other day, is Gundren a hill dwarf or a mountain dwarf? I think a mountain dwarf is probably the most suitable selection. Okay. Jackway. Look, if I got your name wrong, I do apologise. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. I'm running the game. My PCs are going to Wave Echo Cave. We are using minis and tokens. Okay. If I don't have a monster mini, I draw all the main maps on graph paper, and it's going very well. Well, that's good news. Excellent. If you're interested in making tokens or even pawns, that's like standing miniatures, standing cardboard miniatures, I suppose. It's not even a miniature. It's a standing board, basically, that looks like a monster. I show people how to do that. I've done a video on how to take your Magic the Gathering cards and turn them into your own pawns, and you just clip a bull clip on the underneath to hold them up so they stand in place. And that might be helpful to you. I'm glad that the game is going well for you, by the way. Rob Shell, how's it going? I played Agatha as well. I made players really nervous. I think probably the most successful aspect to Agatha is when it all went pie-shaped. I've heard of a dungeon master who I highly respect. He's a great DM. He's far better than I am. And what he did with Agatha is they were so terrified of Agatha, I don't know what he did, that they didn't even get into a conversation. As soon as they found out when they got to, Conesbury, that there was a banshee, and they were having to converse with a banshee, they all fled, and that was it. Which is a shame, because they didn't get a chance to have a conversation with her, but I thought it was brilliant. Really, really, really fun and funny, actually. Okay, alright, so Old Owl Well. This is where you've got Hammond Cost. I'm going to do a video covering that, the evil mage with his zombies. It obviously doesn't give you a map, but I think I'll break that up into another video in its own right, just to make things a little bit more interesting. I'm also going to do another video just covering the runes of Thundertree. So Thundertree is a really dangerous location. By the time they get to Thundertree, you might find that they rock through all of the blights pretty easily. But I thought it needed to have some sort of discussion around. It's really Venom Fang. It's the dragon. It's not even the cultists in that location. It's honestly, even the ash zombies are not really a big issue. It's Venom Dragon, and it's the Venom Fang. Now that dragon is a real problem. And I remember running it, and my players just made a mess of Venom Fang. He didn't even get a chance to get into the air. And you want to get your dragon into the air as quickly as possible. So I think I played in a game with another dungeon master, and it spent 2 hours running away from Venom Fang through the forest. It was so funny. And that's really how it should be, right? You want to get Venom Fang into a situation where it's a lot more exciting than just sort of, oh, it's all over? Really? He's stuck on the ground and we all just wail on him with our characters, which are probably about level 4 or 5, because we've been told to stay away from that location till then. Okay, so Jeff, is Storm King's Thunder? What? Is Storm King's Thunder? I'm not quite sure what that means, Jeff. You'll have to explain a little bit more. Aaron, the two took her down easily. Yeah, well, that once, look, the honest truth is, it's a banshee. Why is the banshee within range of melee? or Malay. Malay. I keep being told I pronounce that wrong. Probably have. Okay. But, you know, it shouldn't be that easy to deal with her, and she should be able to just vanish when she needs to. I wouldn't turn it into a combat encounter. If they start fighting, the instructions are she just vanishes and that's it. Oh, Jeff, the best one to play after. Oh, what is the best adventure to play after running the Lost Mine of Phandelver? Now, somebody asked me that question in the comments not so long ago, Jeff, and my answer is it's really up to you, and it depends on what you consider to be interesting. I feel like Out of the Abyss is actually a good lead in from dealing with Nesna the Black Spider. And I know a lot of people have, but you can't run Out of the Abyss the way it is because it's just appalling, and it would just drive you nuts. I feel like you would probably want to skip the first section when they are held prisoner and just say you were held prisoners and you escaped. Good. Now we're just on to escaping the Underdark. I think that's probably the easiest way to deal with that. Storm King's Thunder is fine. You can do that. It actually probably doesn't hurt to be a reasonably high level when you start that, because even though you're dealing with maybe a few low level creatures to begin with, honestly, giants are difficult. They have a lot of hit points, they have reach, and you know, you put anywhere from 2 to 3 or even 4 giants on the table and or into the combat, the players are really going to have a hard time. I know we really struggled with dealing with Storm King's Thunder, and as soon as I was DMing a certain part of it, the dragon that's involved in that particular adventure, I just tore them asunder. They just didn't have a hope. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go with something like the Tyranny of Dragons. I dislike Horde of the Dragon Queen. I really don't like it that much. I feel like if you're going to do Horde of the Dragon Queen, you're better off to start further off through the adventure. Like somebody else has already done most of the hard work, like following the Cult of the Dragon for umpteen chapters or episodes. Okay. George, what's this? Thought on what the Norfolk would do if it escapes the hideout alive. I'm considering making an appearance in Old Owl Well as another area of magic in the region. Yes, you could, George. I feel like the Norfolk is probably going to stay clear of the party once it's had to contend with them again. So even if you put it in Old Owl Well, as soon as they show up, it's going to flee. If I was a Norfolk and a monster like that, I would leave. I wouldn't hang about. I would take off. Okay, don't hang about and deal with a party that's already made a mess of you to begin with. That's my suggestion to you. You don't have to take it. Completely up to you. Obviously, at some point I will do a video discussing Craigmore Castle as well, just to make sure that people have that. That's really quite a complicated one, and the adventure sort of suggests that you go from running the first part, the Craigmore hideout, and then going to Craigmore Castle, provided you get the information about where the castle is and where Gundren is. But you know, level 2 characters dealing with Craigmore Castle, that's really brutal. You know, I feel like that was a sort of a setup to make things really difficult. And of course, the location is built so that once they have their first fight, chances are that everybody else in the entire castle is going to know they're there, and you just wind up with a stream of monsters closing in on their location. So we're definitely going to cover the Craigmore Castle in a separate video. Alright, George, you tell me if that's alright. That's my thoughts in terms of the Norfolk anyway. Nicholas, what do you got here? Which classes are good for this adventure? The core classes, your wizard, your rogue, your cleric, and your fighter. The 4 classes are probably the strongest combination that you can possibly have. If that's the sort of thing you wanted to know, that's my honest opinion, which is why they are included in the adventure. That doesn't mean that you don't need to It doesn't mean that you don't need to, you can't have other types of character classes in there. You know, it's not that's restrictive, but certainly it would make a lot of sense. Rob Shell, you love this channel. I'm glad that people loving this channel. I'm really been trying really hard to make sure it's at another level compared to everybody else. It's very hard to do that sometimes because, my God, there's so many D&D channels now and they're doing an awesome job. And I really love Dungeon Dudes because now I don't have to worry about doing rules videos. They do heaps and heaps of videos. What I would like them to do is to start, not to say that they aren't pretty guys, but it would be nice if they actually showed people with the miniatures that are on the table in front of them how to use some of these rules rather than just talk and explain, and actually show you as well, because that would certainly make life a lot easier for a lot of other people. And now, of course, once we've dealt with Craigmore Castle, Waventor, the Orc Camp, I'll do a separate video for that. That can be a bit of a problem. And then, of course, we'll deal with Wave Echo Cave in a separate video. I might even break that one up into 2 separate sections because it's such a huge location and it's really complicated, if that makes any sense. Okay? Right. Your timing videos are awesome using magic cards. Yeah, magic cards are really good because it's all the artwork's done. You don't have to print them out. You can get them pretty cheap. You know, it's not like I went and bought any magic cards. I went and got them off a friend, and you can probably find somebody who'll give you some, you know, all of their throwaways. The token videos. I'm not sure what's in typo. I don't know what that means. Roll for damage. Not one thing in Out of the Abyss went the way it was written. Yeah, you really do need to pull it apart and change everything. And I would sort of cut things down a bit too. Players did everything but what was expected in your game. Okay, that's exactly why I didn't run it. I felt like it was going to be so difficult to deal with. And you know, I don't want to do that sort of thing. Okay, so I'm trying to make things easier for people rather than more difficult. What else we've got here? Moz. Now, if I got your name wrong, I do apologise. Hi, can I add monsters apart from ones written in the book to make a little challenge for my PCs? Yes, of course you can. You can increase the number of monsters and creatures in your adventure, particularly if you feel like they're not being challenged and it's a bit of a walkthrough. You'll find something like the runes of Thundertree. Those twig blights are just a little bit on the easy side. And also too, another thing you can do, rather than adding more monsters, which is going to create a lot more extra work for you to manage at the table, go through and give them maximum hit points. Okay, the actual adventure gives you the average, like all of the monsters in the monster manual. It gives you the average. But if you go to the top of your stat block for that creature, it will list the hit points. And then in brackets, there's some dice and a modifier that you add to it. So take the first number in front of the D. So in this case, my example would be the skeleton. And it says here it has 13 hit points. In brackets, it has 2d8 plus 4. So instead of rolling 2 8-sided dice, just multiply 8 by 2, which gives you 16, and then add the 4, gives you 20. So now your skeleton has 20 hit points, and you've made your monsters a little bit more difficult. And that'll really make a huge difference in terms of actually getting your entire adventure to work, particularly as the players start to level up. You know, once they start getting to about level 3, then you'll notice that some of the quests are, you know, sort of a walkthrough or a cakewalk. And I know people don't like that. The only problem is you're going to level them up faster, which will bleed over into the next lot of encounters that they come across. And there's no need for them to do everything. I know I've got a friend who I work with, and his group have insisted on completing everything. But they don't have to do that. They can actually just complete sections of the adventure, not the entire thing. Okay, and where are we? We are cracking along. we are going to obviously at some point do a video, and it's going to talk specifically about Nesna the Black Spider, because he's a key character, he's the key villain, and you know, if I'm going to do a video on Gundren Rockseeker, we've definitely got to do a video on Nesna the Black Spider, so you can expect that to happen too. And the feedback that I get from you will change what I do in terms of the live streams. Does that make sense? Okay, right. Hate. You should DM live. Yeah, I think I've already discussed my view of DMing live. I'm going to make it clear to everybody who's here. I am a normal person, okay? I'm nothing special. It's not like I can do really good voices like Matthew Mercer or Chris Perkins. And I don't even try to do that quite often. And not only that, I'm just usually open to trying to make my adventure interesting and surprising. I'm a bit quirky at times, and really my background is psychology, so I'm always looking at my players and seeing their response. What I want to get from them is fear and excitement and laughter. And occasionally a few tears, but hopefully I'll manage that in such a way that it's good tears. That can be done, and I've talked about that in the video. I'm not going to go into that, it's already there, so you can check that out. Campbell, I agree. Kitty cat. Alright, cool. I'm not sure what that means, but I let it go. I'm going to have to look all that up to figure out what it means. Okay, Moz, hopefully I got your name right. You got it right. My PCs came across some really good items and seemed to breeze through most of the battles. Thanks for the tips. Yep, you're welcome. You know, you can increase monsters, you can put in new monsters, you can have random encounters. It's up to you. You're running the game. Don't run as written, particularly if you're feeling comfortable about going off the page, okay? All right, I need a drink of water because my gosh, I'm getting dry. Oh, and we're getting into 47 minutes. And oh my gosh, I'm going to have to stop at some point. I didn't realize there are going to be so many people who would jump in for this. Okay, George, what do we got here? Doppelgangers are described as being loners or working in small groups in 5e. And the Monster Manual. Yes, okay. So it struck me as odd to have them being a part of a small army essentially in this module. Well, yeah, but they are loners and they still need to make money. They need to get food and equipment and stuff. So they've got to work for somebody. So hiring yourself out to be a spy is probably something they would consider doing. And it's really up to you. You might decide that your doppelgangers are working for Nesna the Black Spider, but Nesna doesn't know that they are a doppelganger. This doppelganger might be just passing themselves off as a really good spy and actually looks completely different to a doppelganger. They might actually pass themselves off as just a normal human being who's just got a disguise kit, and they're pretending to put the makeup on and change their features with latex or prosthetics and something like that. And Nesna never knows that they are actually a doppelganger at all. Just a really good spy. But that's up to you. And I know a lot of people have talked about the doppelganger, so it sounds like I might have to talk about the doppelganger at some point in a separate video. We'll get there. Right, Jeff, how to make your town PC's personalities more alive and not generic and forgettable in town of Phandelver. First off, the best way to do that is grab yourself a picture. I think a picture tells so much more. So, for example, I don't have a lot of NPC pictures to show you right now, but I did pick up a few pictures of characters that the players will encounter. And that would be my first go-to, is grab a picture for an NPC. So this is, I think it's Nundro. Yeah, Nundro Rockseeker. This is the brother of Gundren, the one that's still alive. And that particular character, that image tells you a lot, and then play to that image, okay? It gives you a description, and you can see the expression. You know, this particular image sort of suggests that Nundro is quite gruff and angry and suspicious, and he folds his arms all the time, and he's probably quite abrupt. Okay, so that would be my suggestion in terms of figuring out how to do that. Otherwise, grab yourself some Rory story cubes, roll those 3 of them, do what Mike Shell does, and just use 3 pictures to give you an idea of what the character is like, what they're interested in. Okay, and then just stick it on a little post-it label, and you're away. And if you want to print this thing out so you can show your players, then just stick it on the back of the picture, and you're way you go. Piece of cake. And the other thing with your NPCs in the town of Phandelver, don't present all of your NPCs unless you absolutely have to, all at the same time. It's too much work. Spread them out. Let them follow one quest, then come back, and then they can meet somebody else, and they'll give them a new quest, or a new mission, or a new problem to solve. Hopefully that answers your question with that particular aspect, Jeff. Moz, laugh out loud. At psychology background, yeah, I got a psychology and maths, a trained bartender, a teaching background, and a counselling background as well, as it happens. I know that sounds strange, but in this day and age, you've got to have a lot of things under your belt. What's that, Moz? Don't want to do random encounters. Yeah, I know how people feel about random encounters, because you're thinking, when I say random encounters, you're thinking combat encounters. I know I have to start doing some random encounters that are non-combat, and presenting them and showing them and explaining them how they would work and how you can allocate XP for them. You can present random encounters that are not combat encounters. And I know that sounds weird. Have I got some examples here that I can give you just right now? I can't sort of show you images or anything like that, but I've written down a few notes. So this is my cheat sheet. I've been working on this. These random encounters, they're not combat based. One consists of hearing the sound of a bell ringing, finding a wasp nest, and the wasp nest is not really supposed to be a combat encounter. It's something that's supposed to run away from, but it still might require some spells and resources and a skill check or ability check to deal with. Finding an old cat, a girl coming up to them with a bowl of fruit, a meteorite storm, it starts raining frogs and fish, coming across a lighthouse that is haunted, and where a social encounter, a discussion takes place, or just scaring them a little bit. Villagers bringing in the harvest around Phandelver might be one you could use. Finding an empty charred boot, and that'll scare the bejesus out of them. They won't know what that's all about. A wolf howling in the distance. Finding a dead dragon, maybe. What else? Coming across a dying warrior that they need to try and save and heal before they perish, and award them XP for doing that sort of thing. Coming across a poisoned well they have to unpoison or purify in some way. Give them XP for that. Saving a minotaur from a vine creature, coming across a golden apple, dealing with a lightning storm or lightning strike, quicksand victim, saving somebody from quicksand, locust swarms, it just goes on. So these are all things I have hopefully at some point will do something with in my game, on my channel, to show you how to run random encounters rather than just doing combat. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Okay, what do we got here? I think I've got that covered. George, I'm tempted to have them be running a con on the Black Spider. Well, I think you probably should. And as I suggested, the Black Spider might not even know that they are full-fledged doppelgangers, and might just think that they are just really good spies. That could be a good way of dealing with the whole situation. Okay, look, I've got to the end of all the questions. Hopefully I've answered everybody's questions. As I said, we'll come back and do our questions and answers session probably in about a month's time. But while that's happening, I'm hopefully going to be able to prepare enough material and break up the adventure into parts for you so that you can see how you can do it. It's not, look, nothing here is set in concrete, okay? As I said, normal person, normal DM, not a magic wizard or anything like that, and certainly not a mastermind of any kind when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. So look, if you found this video helpful or informative and you managed to sit through the entire thing, well done. Please share and like the video if you found it useful and you liked it. If you're not part of my channel or haven't subscribed already and you want to keep seeing stuff like this, it will happen. I'll probably do one video a week on the topic, and about once a month there'll be a questions and answers. There's a whole lot of other videos that I do as well, so subscribe, hit the bell button to be notified when I do new videos and when I publish something and it's not a live stream, which will come. I know I've been promising that and I know I need to do it, but I will. If you want to support my channel, you supported my channel by sitting through all of this, and the super chat from Hate and Rob, thank you so much, that was awesome. I don't do Patreon. I'm not going to ask people to support me that way. But if you want to support me so I keep doing stuff, there are affiliate links down in the description. You pay whatever is online from Amazon or Book Depository. I get a small commission. You don't even have to buy the thing that I've linked to. You just go through the link and then you can go anywhere else within that website and buy something else. It's not a problem. And look, if you have any questions, your opportunity in the live chat was now. We're about to close up now. Otherwise, down in the comments, try to give me questions that will help me make new videos rather than spend time trawling through the comments section answering questions on the typewriter or on the keyboard. Give me stuff that you would like me to cover in the future. That's probably going to be the easiest thing for me. And let me know how the adventure is going for you. I'm kind of interested, particularly if I haven't come across something that you think needs to be discussed. All right, and I'm going to say, hey. Oh, there we go. How's it going, Aaron? Thanks a ton. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been great. Everybody has been fantastic. Nicholas, you like the stream? Fantastic. And Aaron, I'm glad you managed to how to introduce a warlock patron. Yeah, you're funny. All right, anyway, we're going to take off now. I'm going to say goodbye, and yeah, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.